Hey y'all, I thought I would talk about something that crossed my mind today, and it seems that I'm back in the Joker loop again. Remember, well, those of you who've been with me for long enough to remember me from 5 years ago know that I was making I did a lot of videos where I discussed the original Joker, and now that Joker has has made a definite impression, let's just say. Um, Not for the most part a very good impression, but certainly an impression. Um, Something came to mind when I was thinking about uh, the central, or one of the big problems in with the way that it went in the end, besides the just nasty, nihilistic, killing him off, and everything that message that essentially sent a certain message to the audience. It was taken a certain way, whether or not Todd Phillips intended for it to be taken that way. And it seems to me that I recorded a video. I think it was maybe the last one that I did, where I talked about rage baiting and how there was some fake site saying that Todd Phillips, the director of the two Joker movies, was saying that he's glad that he made the Joker sequel because male dominance needed to be taken down a peg, using these feminist talking points. And it wasn't even true. This article was fake. It was a fake article, and I showed a true article, an actual article, where Todd Phillips said that he did not intend for the Joker sequel to be a commentary on quote unquote toxic fandom, and it seems like that nobody's believing him, you know. And I believe him, not because I trust in his integrity, but because, well, I've explained my reasoning for why I just don't think this whole idea of Joker intentionally being made to get the audience of the first movie to hate it, and the consequent, transformation of Joker into the flop that it's become. I just don't understand. I think that doesn't. I mean, I go into more detail about this in my live cast from the other night. I don't want to repeat myself too much here, but I just don't. It's not them owning the incels. It's not them owning the chuds. It's not them putting the chuds in their place. It's the opposite. The audience has reacted so violently, not violently in the sense of actual violence, but violently in their in the intensity of their rejection. They've reacted so intensely, with such intense negativity, to specifically the ending and what the ending seems to imply, that they've ensured that this movie that was made with a huge budget, and that was, there was Oscar buzz about, there was lots of it was projected to be one of the big movies of the year, and now it's become this disaster. And I just don't see how that benefits anybody. It doesn't benefit Todd Phillips. It doesn't benefit Hollywood. It doesn't benefit Warner Brothers, or any of the producers. It just it does the very opposite. So that's why I actually believe that whatever Todd Phillips' motivation was, whatever Todd Phillips and the writer, whose name I can't remember now, and Joaquin Phoenix and whatever their motivation was in making the movie, I honestly don't think it was to be a rebuke of the people who enjoyed the first movie, even though it's been largely taken that way by everybody who was or not by a whole lot of people who were fans of the first movie. And those aren't just quote unquote incels. Those are lots and lots of people of different walks of life, lots of normies. You don't get to you don't make $1 billion from a movie unless a lot of people, a lot of so-called normies have watched it and enjoyed it. So anyway, now I was thinking about Joker, one of my favorite movies, the original Joker, and another one of my favorite movies, Fight Club, and how the sequel Joker in a way wrestles with some of the same issues that are brought up in Fight Club. There's some of the same scenarios. In Fight Club, the main character, who's never given a name, the Edward Norton character, at some point along the way creates this alter ego who is bold and fights back against against corporate conformity and all the things that he hates about his job and his life, and starts this revolution. And so you've got something very similar to what's happening with Arthur Fleck and Joker, because even though there's no, in Fight Club, for most of the movie, you think that Tyler Durden is a separate person because of a different actor, Brad Pitt. But you find out near the end that they are one and the same. And it's a movie from 1999. If you haven't seen it yet, you can still enjoy it with that spoiler. The spoiler won't harm your enjoyment. So I get a little tired of these, constantly being worried about spoilers, from movies that were released 25 years ago, quarter of a century ago. Come on. But anyway, the Joker sequel has a similar circumstance. In Joker 2, I'll just call it, rather than the pretentious French subtitle. There's this question of, where does Arthur Fleck end and Joker begin? Because in the original movie, Arthur Fleck, who was this weak, beaten down man who had this miserable life, who'd suffered all kinds of abuse, he becomes, when he becomes Joker, he becomes this strong and homicidal character, this murderous character. And so there's a similarity there, like the beaten down main character, the Edward Norton character in Fight Club, is equivalent to the Arthur Fleck character in Joker. Whereas the Joker persona, the bold and violent and man of action, perhaps psychopath, certainly homicidal. The man wants to tear everything down, wants to werewolf and go wild. That he's the equivalent of Tyler Durden. And in the sequel, the point is raised, and it could be an interesting point if they had just pursued it in a different way. But we have this situation in which Arthur is seen by a certain segment of the public as a folk hero, but not for being himself, rather for this persona that he adopted, the Joker persona. And so there's this, cleaving between these two characters who occupy one body. And in Fight Club, there's the same kind of question, where near the end of the movie, Edward Norton, the narrator, wants to take his life back from Tyler Durden. He's grown. He's become, by all of these experiences, he's no longer just this passive corporate drone, and so in the end, at the end of the movie, he kills off Tyler Durden by shooting himself in the head. And when he shoots himself in the head, he doesn't die. He doesn't die, but Tyler Durden dies. So he kills off that side of him, and now the person who's left is the narrator, but he's grown, he's matured, he's become, he's transcended the pitiful being that he was at the beginning of the movie. And that's ultimately, people who are fans of Fight Club don't think, oh, I hate the ending because it's such a betrayal that he kills off Tyler Durden. They don't say that. No fan of Fight Club has said that I've ever heard. Nobody feels that way, because it's not that, the narrator comes to think that Tyler Durden is evil and he doesn't want to be, he wants to just go back to being a nobody conformist corporate drone again. That's not the narrator's attitude. But the problem in the Joker sequel is when Arthur Fleck renounces his Joker persona, it's basically just a retreat into defeat, and it can't be anything else, because we don't see Arthur Fleck grow as a person or transcend what he had been in the beginning, when he was just somebody who let all these things happen to him and got beaten up by life and didn't do anything about it. But if the movie had found a way to give Arthur Fleck something, some way of coming into his own, where he could have rejected his Joker persona, but become something more authentic, where it's in essence like with Fight Club, the narrator doesn't need Tyler Durden anymore. He doesn't need him anymore because he's actually grown and transcended his lesser self, and has matured and has become somebody. And he gets the girl. He ends up with Helena Bonham Carter's character. Of course, he was always with her. It was in the early scenes, but he thought that it was a different man who was with her. But in the end, it's actually him. It's actually the narrator who's with her. So he gets the girl. He accomplishes the revolution, even though he tried to undermine it. Still he's unable to, and the buildings all come down, and who knows what happens next for civilization. But it's a hopeful ending. I won't say happy ending necessarily, but it's a hopeful ending for Edward Norton's character. It gives him this send-off that doesn't make us go away feeling sour feeling like we've been betrayed as, as the audience, just because he killed off Tyler Durden. Whereas in Joker, that's not even, it's never even like the whole idea of Arthur Fleck being able to change in a more positive way, is never, I mean, it's never even a possibility. So when he says, I don't want to be Joker anymore, in a way that's like embracing his authentic self, except he's doing it because he's been defeated, because he's had his Joker self raped out of him. And then we already know the way that it ends. And that's the last straw, for us, the viewer. So I think these are some interesting parallels, and they're worth thinking over. They're worth mulling over if you're a cinephile like me. If you're not, then I don't know. I'm not sure why you even watch this video. But anyway, let me know what y'all think.